Big Boy's
Big
Neighborhood.
Boy.
All righty now, man. If you know, you know. If not, I'm about to give a full lesson on this one, man. We got Reza Izad in the neighborhood, man. And Reza is CEO of Studio 71.
Yes.
Now, what exactly is Studio 71, Rez?
We're one of the world's...
Get right on that mic, Rez, because
here we go.
I want them to hear this
Sorry
knowledge.
about that.
Not a problem.
We are one of the world's largest distributors of short-form content on the internet.
And what does that mean?
Stuff you see on YouTube, stuff you see on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and everywhere else short-form is
Hey,
concerned.
man, it is a whole
Quick videos.
different,
Yeah, short-form videos.
It's a whole different world
Definitely.
out there. Like, if you of the world, you know.
Yes.
But if you don't, like my daughter will watch certain things, right? And then I'll look at their views and I'm like, how did this person get 10, 20, 30, 40 million views?
It's exactly what you're saying. There's almost two parallel universes. There's a world on the internet where millions and millions of really young kids are consuming a whole different culture than what you're seeing in mainstream, in print, on TV, even on radio.
What was the documentary I just saw you in, Reza? Do you remember the name of the doc?
I can't remember the name of the episode, but it's a BuzzFeed doc.
Yeah. And they, man, I think I got it right here, man. But I was looking at this documentary and they were talking about like influencers and some of the like young and the teen influencers. It is amazing the reach that they have, the merch that they do, the tours that they have. How did you become involved with the younger end of the influencers?
Good story. I actually was a partner in a management company. So we managed Linkin Park, Kanye West, Enrique Iglesias, a ton of musicians. And this was in the mid-2000s when there was all the disruptions that Napster and all the piracy
when it was starting to look bleak for us too.
It was starting to look really bleak. And so we built a huge marketing arm just to help our artists reach the consumer directly. And we actually thought over time, as they would come out of their label deals, they would actually partner with us and we would be sort of their partner going into it.
Right.
And the reality is that took probably 5 or 10 years longer than like today. That's a very viable,
right. So you saw that.
We saw that very early. And where it played out for us was on YouTube in digital video. We actually signed the biggest channel on YouTube in 2009, which is a long time ago, called Fred.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, man. So with Fred took the hell off.
Took off.
Now Fred, he's not popping as much, but that's by choice kind of with Fred, right?
Partially. He decided not to play that character anymore.
Right.
And so we did 3 Nickelodeon movies with him. He owned a bunch of if you think about as a young artist, he built this huge fan base.
Yeah.
First thing we did was we did a Christmas record. We connected YouTube and iTunes and sold 100,000 copies. And we're like, wow, there's a lot here. We partnered with some creative people, financed a very low budget movie, and ultimately sold that to Nickelodeon. And because Lucas owned the rights the way he did, he had a very big piece of that.
What do you think Lucas for what Fred made? If you were just
I can't really get into it, but he made into the millions on that.
Good gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And think about it, first-time actor in a Nickelodeon movie.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? And in 2010, that was the biggest movie on all of cable television. And in 2011 and in 12, we did 3 movies.
And so, Reza, do you think, like, from there, you're like, okay, we got something here?
Yeah, we got to get into it.
And what was the next step?
We started, one of my partners, actually, a guy named Dan Weinstein, started signing a lot of younger talent coming out of that space. So we signed The Annoying Orange, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Epic Mealtime.
Annoying Orange.
You remember that, too?
Yeah. That's crazy.
And what was The Annoying Orange?
Animation.
It's a classic. You got to go look it up. It's an orange that taunts all the other fruit in the kitchen, and then they get killed by a knife and they get cut up. It's really funny.
Oh my
It's
God,
hilarious.
Do not show your 5-year-old.
With the big mouth in the orange, right?
funny.
It's really funny stuff if you'll go to the
Oh
original
my God,
stuff.
man.
So
So that takes off.
that took off. Huge merchandising and licensing
crazy.
program. We sold the show to Cartoon Network. We did 2
Oh, I
seasons
seen
there.
this orange.
Yeah. And then we got involved with Epic Mealtime and a guy named Freddie W. Those were sort of kind of our 4 sort of cornerstones that we started our business off with. And today it's a much different thing. I mean, today, we'll put out 12,000 videos a month. We reach almost 1 in 3 Americans watch our content for over an hour and a half. So when you think about the popularity of what's going on in YouTube, Facebook, and all these sort of social channels, It's pretty powerful, and nobody knows our name. We're a business to business company,
right?
We're all about supporting and promoting the artists that we're working.
Man, who do we
That's
just have in
crazy.
the neighborhood as well?
Matt.
Yeah,
The dancer, Matt.
Yeah, Matt.
I don't know how to say his
we
last
work
name.
with Matt.
Stephanie,
He's
yeah.
amazing.
And
He's amazing.
he brought you guys up, and I
Yeah.
was like, damn.
Yeah.
And that's another one where millions of followers millions of subscribers,
Exactly.
millions of followers on his social media
Yep.
platforms, and does tours all throughout the world.
That's right.
Dancing videos, like tutorials,
Yep.
and they write their own, pretty much write their own checks. They're like entrepreneurs.
Exactly. And think about it. Like 10 years ago, right? As a dancer, how many options would you have
Right.
had to sort of really come up the way he has?
Right.
And because you can go direct and can engage an audience, there's a whole new life for him from a career perspective.
What do you see on the younger end now, Reza? Because I know when I was watching the doc on and I got to make sure I get the exact name
Yep.
on Netflix. It started off with one young girl. She was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it was her and her mom. My daughter knew exactly who she was.
Yep.
I wish I would have taken another note on it. But just watching, her fan base, how many people go on her live, what she does on Musically, which is what, TikTok now,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Just, and what about that world, like the Musicallys of the world, the TikToks and super serving your direct audience and your direct consumer?
TikTok's a really interesting platform, right? And it's very young, and obviously there's a lot of stuff going on it, but music and its ability to make editing really easy, so almost anyone can do a music video and lip sync.
Yeah, my daughter goes
is
crazy
really,
on that.
really key to it. I think the what to learn, if that's the question, is look, if there's these emerging platforms like Instagram TV right now, not a lot of people are putting content up there regularly. If I was starting out today, I'd be all in on Instagram TV.
Really?
Because it's not as crowded. Going into YouTube is super crowded. Going into Instagram itself,
are people
massively
paying
crowded.
attention to Instagram TV right now?
They are, but it's called, the problem with Instagram TV, it's called Instagram. So everyone expects it to be out of the gate the biggest thing anyone's ever seen, right? But Instagram also at one point started kind of small and slowly grew.
Right.
And there's like
So you think people should put content on Instagram TV
if
as
I was
well?
starting out, that's where I would go.
Do you-
100%.
Do you think that people are reluctant though? Because it's like if you have a platform like YouTube, which I don't even know like how many subscribers you have to have before they start paying you, that people are more inclined to go and put that content on YouTube because YouTube does pay and Instagram at this point doesn't yet.
Yes, but it's really hard to
Monetize.
get scale, monetize and
on
get
YouTube.
scale on YouTube today if you're starting from scratch. There's a lot of people who do, like in the last couple of years, James Charles has gotten really huge. Emma Chamberlain sort of has blown up really quickly. On
What
the
do you
platform,
tell the person that think that this is easy to get into, where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna grab a camera and I'm just is it that easy? But you've seen some people where it's like, oh damn, I didn't know that was gonna happen.
It's easy to create content today, right? It's never been easier because your phone is a 4K and there's all kinds of editing tools you can put just on your phone. So it's never been easier to make content, but it's also never been harder to be relevant and stay relevant.
Right.
And and when you start out, especially if you start out early, I mean, it becomes a grind. It becomes an 8-10 hour job faster than you know it.
Wow.
And then some, right? So
Is it a lot of pressure on the younger generation? Like I know when I was in the show that I'm talking about is Follow This, and the episode was Teen Boss, and it's like 19 minutes, and BuzzFeed does like episodes where it's something different for every one of them, and it's such a great watch.
Yep.
But I was looking where it seemed like there's a lot of pressure to that as well.
there's the regular pressure, right, of trying to be successful, but there's the immediate response, which
Yes.
can get really addictive, and you can get really caught up in your followers, right? And
Yeah.
all the comments, both the positive and the negative.
Yeah.
And I think if you're super young, that's the one thing you really got to protect yourself from is how do you maintain your person without getting lost in the immediacy of what happens.
You've seen it so much too, because you'll see someone who had this platform, they got really big, and then you know, a couple years later, they're putting up a video about how it was so hard and how they, you know, some girls, if it's like a fitness one, they fell into bulimia, or if it was like a makeup one, they, you know, this happened with their life. Or even we saw with Liz, I forget what her last name is, but she and her boyfriend broke up, and it was this huge
she's so
story.
funny. I love her.
She's really
I don't know how to
talented.
pronounce her last name either.
But her and her boyfriend broke up, and they had made all these videos together, and that became, I mean, Queen Naja as well. Like when she and her husband, when he cheated on her, and then they went through their divorce, and like, you know, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it can be tough.
Well, maybe
You
I
gotta
don't
protect
want
yourself.
this.
I think you do.
Yeah, I was about to start my whole dancing videos up again. I was about to- What about when, you know how there was just some Reza that just blew? Remember Chocolate Rain? You remember? It was just, there were just some, Jose and I were talking about this today, where there were just some people that was in social media that blew up,
Right.
and then you just, you don't see
disappear.
them anymore.
Like
They don't evolve.
Tequila.
Yeah, they don't evolve.
They don't evolve.
Tila Tequila.
She's lost somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really care to know where she's at. I'm just
Right,
saying
right,
she was
right,
one of
right.
those.
But
She's like one of the first ones to
Evolution
really put
is
out.
the hardest part of this game. I use this guy as an example. There was a guy named Roman Atwood. He started doing pranks, really aggressive pranks. Now it's a family channel. Totally evolved. He's got 3 kids. He's got his wife on it.
Wait, so Roman that did the movie, that did
Exactly
the craziness,
Right. That
like
was one of the movies we produced. Yeah.
So Roman is a family guy now?
Absolutely. On
How's
YouTube.
that working for him?
Huge.
Oh,
bigger
wow.
than the pranks.
Wow.
Way bigger than the pranks.
Don't get you arrested. Don't get you.
Yeah, no issues, and it's actually a really great show.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what platform does he go to still?
YouTube is his biggest, but he's still on. You know, he's on all the
14 million
platforms. Yeah.
subscribers.
14 million?
Yeah, hitting 50, knocking on
Yeah.
15 million.
What can someone make? Like, what's some of the high end that you've seen where
There's a
like
lot
this
of
person's
guys
living?
making way into the 8 figures.
Okay,
Right?
so
When you
six
add the
figures is
merch,
100,000. All righty, so
7 figures. So you can get into the tens of millions of dollars.
Damn.
Yeah,
a year.
a year between advertising partnerships, and the businesses you own. Right? So you take like there's a guy, Jeffree Star.
Get that for me.
Yeah.
This guy's
Jeffree
got
Star.
a makeup line.
Stars.
I don't have exact numbers, but you know that's almost $100 million a year makeup business. He fulfills, it's all e-com, so he sells it, you know, out of a warehouse.
Oh my god!
And he's you know
He has pink hair and
he's
flaws.
figured out a really good niche, and he knows how to sell his product to
Seen
those
him.
people.
11
Oh,
He
Yeah.
my
has his makeup
Lord.
line
Yeah.
too at like this place called Morphe, and literally I just saw everybody like around just his
Yep.
makeup line.
When you hear people, Reza, that say, "Oh, such and such gets this much for putting up a social media tweet or Instagram," is that real?
Yeah. But that's the least interesting part of the business. The most interesting part is, can you make your makeup line? How do you leverage it so that you have owners? Like if you're a musical artist, right, today, especially a hip hop artist, the idea that you're going to just sign away your rights, right, forever,
Right.
when it doesn't take a lot of manpower to get stuff on Spotify, to build a social connection, and all those things that it takes to really
because
get hot.
back in the days, Reza, people wanted like, "Oh, I got to be on Def Jam.
Right.
I got to be on this. I got to be
That's
on
right.
that." People
that
don't want that
360 deal.
anymore.
Yeah, you don't
You
need
know,
that today.
they don't. Yeah, they don't want the 360 deals
No.
anymore.
No.
They just, you know, like they have their fan base right there. That's why we see so many of the Tekashi 6ix9ines that blow
Chance
up
the
in the
Rapper.
yeah, where we'll see
a perfect
people
example.
just it's like I don't need
A record
that
label.
whole machine.
That's exactly right. And it pays faster. That's the thing nobody knows, right? YouTube pays you every month.
Oh.
as
Every
opposed
month.
to a royalty,
As opposed to
quarterly
90
or-
days after the quarter, right?
Yeah.
Plus. So
By the
there's
time you get your check, you owe it back.
That's exactly
Damn.
right.
Wow.
So there's definitely an opportunity when you think about like how do you leverage this fame? Not to do ads are great, but to build a bigger thing that has, you know, a longer lasting value for
What
you.
would you say to the artist that's getting into the game? I know you mentioned Spotify, things like
Yep.
that. What should they do, or what would your advice be to them?
My advice, it's a tricky thing because not every artist wants to put himself out in the way, particularly a lot of the YouTube and Instagram talent do. But if you're comfortable and have like Tekashi's become very comfortable with it, quality of music and all that we can put aside because that's on your creativity and who you are as an artist. But build a direct relationship with the consumer on one platform and start to figure out how to move it to other platforms and how to create regular content that you're putting out all the time. I think the thing that's different than it was a few years ago is everyone was stuck on an album. Today, I don't know that you really have to have an album. You can put out one song a month.
Yeah.
Right? Add them all up. It's an album. Right?
Yeah.
And so that people are keep jumping
And that's
on
what
your
we
stuff.
seen with Tekashi when he say 11 for 11.
Yeah.
Like he, you know, and he's getting his plugs.
Yeah.
He's
And it's not hard to get on Spotify. It's, $15 in a Fuga account. I mean, it's like not a lot.
Another one is Bad Bunny. Like I just realized that dude does not have an album.
Right.
And Bad Bunny is
Really?
just putting out hits after hits after hits after hits, or like featured on hits. Like
Lil Wayne did it
social.
first, man. He was on every guest. He's the most he's been on everyone's stuff for a
Yeah,
long
he
time,
gotta-
and then he would drop a record when it was time. So it's a different way of thinking about your career.
What's the next wave
Wow.
that you see coming? Is YouTube slowing down, or is it harder to get into YouTube? What's the next wave?
YouTube is growing significantly.
Yeah.
Right. So what the reality though is, I think there's 2 billion people a month on that. Some number, it's 1.8 billion. So it's a lot of people. So I think you're going to see slowdown of users at some point. There's not going to be,
Are you watching things like that, Reza?
We don't know total users of YouTube. We know our users, right? But what we're seeing is more people watching longer, right? So you're going to go from spending an hour a day on YouTube to spending 2, 3, 5, however many hours. And it's all set up. Like all the algorithms are set up for you to watch more and more and more content.
What exactly is, and I know I asked you this before, I just want to get clarity. What is Studio 71? And like, is that a place where, because I know everybody say, oh man, I got my channel with them,
Yep.
I do business with them.
Yep.
Like, what exactly does that mean? And what do you do for it?
Exactly. So we partner with people who are making content, or we make it ourselves. It depends. Then we put it on YouTube. We do licensing deals with all kinds of other platforms. So from Amazon Prime to
Wow.
all kinds of stuff
Other
on
streaming
China,
services.
so we set the content in a lot of different places, and then we try to aggregate sort of the data around that, and then sell advertising. That's what we do in a very simple way. So we sell some of the ads you see on YouTube, some of the ads you might see on a Roku if you're watching our content. And
the
and
ones I'm
other
trying to
places.
click out of.
Oh man.
Ours are non-skippable.
Yeah.
Oh, and those are the ones I hate. Your video
when
will
you see the
begin.
30, you there for the 30.
Your video will begin after this.
Yeah, oh, you're on 15s? Okay, I can give you the 15. And it's not a hard reset 15. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, okay, you jump out of it, then you go back in. You're like, hey, I already did
Right,
this.
that's right.
I've given you my 15 seconds already.
We try not to spam anybody, but
Now, and I do want to get back when people say, oh, such and such gets this much per posting. Like, how in the hell does something, for one, if somebody say, oh, they get 20,000 or they get 100,000 for posting, could you really just sit there that whole day and do 12 of them and get like 1.2, or is it like
no,
contracted?
it's more metered out, because your audience at some point, let's talk about why advertisers care. One, everyone hates ads. We just talked about how
Right.
everyone
Yeah.
wants to so people are paying less attention to ads and more attention to the content. So if there's a story or a recommendation about a brand in the content, brands think it has more value. And there's a lot of studies.
It's
that
kind of
say
just
it does.
in there.
It's in there. So let's take a beauty influencer. If they recommend every day a new thing that they really love that's
Yeah,
paid,
look at
at
that.
some point, everyone's going to go, come on, that can't be. And you're going to lose your ability to move people sort of into a purchasing activity.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so you're going to lose your credibility, which is why it tends to be more staggered. And frankly, the best partnerships are the ones that last for a year, where
Yeah.
it's consistent, where the person.
Because I'm just wondering how much diet tea can I actually drink? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't need, you got a diet
Flashing
tea.
your
With no
tummy.
results?
Yeah,
Flat
you know
tummy
what I'm saying?
Right.
Drinking this diet tea. Drinking this diet
Like,
tea.
really? Are you really drinking it? Because you look at the same.
Yeah, you've been saying this for a year. Diet tea, and now you got golf clubs too, huh? Well, how
Got
does
everything.
one do that? Like, is there a certain number that someone has to get to before those kind of opportunities come?
Yes, if you're like trying to be a general performer, right? If you're a comedian, if you're someone who's vlogging and talking about your life, then the volume of how many people are watching like becomes really important.
And what's a number that people kind of?
I'd say
there's an average.
That's a tough question, because then there's this whole concept of micro influencers, where people are with very small audiences but are pretty niche. Like I'm
Right.
the beer blogger of Milwaukee,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And Anheuser-Busch thinks I'm going to sell beer. There's some business for people like that too.
Wow.
So it really depends.
Hey, you really paid attention
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
You're
It said
considered
was.
a microblogger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah,
So-
man.
You can
Louis
start
still
making
trying to
money.
figure out what
Yeah,
that
he
means.
has
He's
this
like
thing
micro,
called
Anonymous beer
bitty.
drinkers.
Anonymous beer drinkers, and they meet up, and you know what I'm saying. Everybody
Enjoy
got to be
beer.
under
That's
5'5".
You got something. Micro, so micro works for you.
Yeah, micro.
High alcohol content.
Right.
Hello.
Right, you know what I'm saying? We'll talk to you, Reza.
We'll work something out.
Let's finish up what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? It's tacky to negotiate on
Yeah.
camera. You know what I'm saying?
We'll talk later.
I don't want people to think that we just closed up a deal. You know what I'm saying? And everybody want to come at him.
That's
you know,
crazy.
He's gonna have ads all of a sudden on his Instagram somehow.
So there is no does a million look good on certain, and I mean just broad across the board.
So here's where the market's going. So there's the big personalities like Lily Singh or Rhett and Link, those types. They're going to get bigger deals for longer periods of time. Right? Casey Neistat and Samsung. That's a multi-year deal. Right?
Jesus.
On the micro side, it's all data driven. So it's very much about the brand looking at your Instagram account and typing in literally I'm Kellogg's cereal, and it'll show, and people have tools now where they can show and surface all the posts that have somebody eating cereal and how it did. And so it's gotten very, very technical how you get those deals. It's not something you can just necessarily go out and hustle on your own.
Right.
It's making sure you're partnering with probably many, especially if you're smaller, many outfits that are serving up that data and going into brands and talking about, how to engage with cereal or whatever the thing is that you're good at.
What do you look for when it comes to you partnering up with someone?
One, we want some, because our business is, we don't want to aggregate everybody
Right.
and everything. We kind of came from a management background, so we believe that unique things have the most value, right? And unique things that are popular are the things we want to gravitate to. So we're looking for unique voices more than anything else, and things that aren't totally crowding in the market. And that could be in family entertainment, and that could be in really edgy stuff. We're partnered with World Star, for instance,
Right.
and we love sort of what the opportunities are there too. So it's a pretty broad spectrum. Of what
Are
we're looking
pranks
for.
kind of going away a little bit now, or a lot of bit?
Yeah, that's not where it's at anymore. That has been that way for a while.
Where is it at?
I actually think vlogging is where it's at.
Really?
Telling
See,
the
my
story of
daughter
your
vlogs.
life.
Yeah.
She don't put nothing up,
Doing
but
it,
she just,
yeah.
I got her a camera. She just talks to it. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
cute.
Like, yeah, we don't let her post nothing.
And the production quality is getting really good with vlogs, and the stories people are telling are, look, Casey Neistat and this kid, David Dobrik, right? Had two very different styles of production. One's really comedic and one's just sort of cinematic. Is seeping into whatever, they're influencing what everybody is doing in terms of how they're editing and how they're sort of telling stories.
And this is this steady handhelds and
Yes, and drone. Like if you look
Oh,
at Will
man.
Smith's
Some people
channel,
are so
right?
good with
They've
drones.
definitely taken a lot of the
Yeah.
elements that they've seen from what Casey and frankly Dobrik have done in terms of how they're editing and putting that stuff together. So it's bigger. It seems a lot bigger, even though it may be a one-person or two-person
Wow.
crew.
it seemed like once Will Smith joined
Yep.
Instagram,
Yep.
he just became
He
a
took the world
phenomenon
over.
again.
Yes, he did.
It's like
Yeah,
this-
he was
Absolutely
already
right.
there,
Yep.
but he went in from like 10 followers to 15 million,
Yep.
and he does great content.
That's absolutely right.
Great content, man, and it's cut up well, and you get Will Smith, and I think that the next thing that Will does, if it's a movie, whatever,
Yep.
I think that would even push his career even further because what he's doing on social media.
100%, because all these studios are paying to reach that audience anyway. And if you, the star of the film, can do it, you can take me on a much different journey than if you hire some third party to do it. He's on set, he's in makeup, he's doing he can make you excited about a movie
before it even
for a
comes.
long period of time. Like I think he did a video where he was about to ride a motorcycle for the first time, and it was related to one of his movies, and it was it was first day of shooting, and he hadn't ridden a motorcycle in 20 years, and he tells this great story. Like I don't know what the movie is even, but I'm excited to hear about how that plays out.
How does one grow their numbers like in Instagram or YouTube? Is there a formula or?
Collaboration is the
Yeah.
most simple formula, and consistency and
Right.
figuring out what's really working and doubling down on it.
I'm on radio and television every day.
Yep.
How does like a Trippie Redd or somebody have more followers than me?
Because he's
Or Raw Anna. There's a girl that I follow. I don't even know why, but her name is like Raw Anna. She's like a raw food lady.
What's up,
Is it
Ryan?
Raina? Is she? I think I've seen her too.
Yeah, there's just some people that
It's
I
like
follow.
literally
her.
just food.
Yeah,
How she cooks and eats like
no.
No.
I think she work out and
Yep.
but she's a raw food person, and I'm looking at that like, damn.
It's one personal connection, like difference between radio and TV is it's always it's in this conversation. You're not having the conversation, with your audience. In the same way as a person who's looking directly into camera. So there's a bit of that that I think is that plays into it.
So I probably need to shave and start
Potentially.
and start recording
You said
myself.
potentially.
Yeah.
Even more.
I don't
so.
know about shaving.
Oh, really? Yeah. Or maybe I should just shave on my Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, getting up, hey, shaving. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to see my comment. We go, well, fuck no. What are you doing?
This again?
Ever since Reza was here, you changed.
You're like,
you know?
I'm shaving.
Yeah. Drinking my tea. Gotta say what's up to my vitamins. You know what I'm saying?
And this is my
Reza.
favorite shaving cream. This
Yeah.
is my favorite razor.
Oh, man.
I
Reza,
like
do you have kids?
I do. I have 2 kids.
Are they young kids?
Yes.
Are they in the business?
They're not in the business.
Why?
Probably. Well, they're 10 and 13.
Yeah.
And I don't look. There's a lot of people who put their kids on and do all
Yeah.
put them through this process. That's not for us, partially because of what we said earlier on.
Yeah.
It's the negativity.
Yeah,
and
man.
all the stuff that comes at you that you didn't ask
And dude,
for.
my daughter Reza, she thinks she want it, but I don't think she really wants it.
Right.
Like she wants it,
Yeah.
but as a dad, I'm like, ooh.
Who's the youngest on YouTube right now that you guys
That's really going?
that's making a lot of money?
Isn't it
Well,
the little boy
Evan,
that
too.
reviews
Yeah.
the toys?
Yeah.
Who is
Evan,
it?
Makes so
Evan
much
Toy
money.
Reviews.
Evan,
Yeah.
show me, little man. Evan Toy Reviews.
or
I
Evan
remember
too.
him.
Yeah,
He
he's
makes
huge.
so much money. But because of
What do
him,
you think he make annually?
oh my God, they put it out last year.
It's
Really?
It's
He
amazing.
reviews toys.
Yeah, it's
He makes
10 million plus. I
Yeah,
would say.
crazy
How old
millions.
is
Yeah, he's got a toy line, I think, at Walmart
Yeah, you got
right
5
now.
million.
Really? And how old is he?
He is 6,
Can you see
7.
that?
And he doing 10 million plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I definitely put my daughter in for
Good.
that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's all how you manage it as a parent. I
Yeah,
don't know if
yeah.
we're ready to
Yeah.
And the
manage
toys are free.
Yeah,
like that.
And but you probably see the real deal of it, where you're like, nah, I don't put my kids in this.
like kids stars, right? From the beginning of time to
Yeah.
now, I've
Yeah.
always had trouble adjusting unless
Yeah,
there's a
man.
strong parent. Like
Yeah.
if you think about like
Like child stars in television are now the child stars in
on the
social
internet.
media
That's right.
and internet.
And if there's a strong parent who's there every step of the way, then I think you got a real good shot at coming out really
you don't
healthy
see
and
these
normal.
parents
But
the same
don't.
when we saw the child stars. You don't see these parents kind of the kids running the parent because of what the kid is making.
Again, it depends on the parent,
parent, I
right?
hear
It
you.
really depends on the parent.
All righty, well, we
Yeah.
got work to do, Louis.
Hell yeah, we
got to
do, man.
build your channel up.
That's
you know what
right.
I'm saying? I gotta
I wanted to do something
what?
where I wanted to start like a beer, like a brewing company from scratch, with like start off with $1,000 and see what like how far I can possibly go.
You can do it, man.
Like
You got this,
I'm
Lou.
on a
believe
mission,
in
dog.
you.
You
I
you
am.
using
can
the
do it.
internet to market it, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I want to do it all.
Reza, he be.
Reza, let's sign now. What do you want me to sign,
yeah.
brother?
No, this is about to happen,
Whatever.
man.
Reza's like,
I see that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do it on your own time.
Reza, like, yeah, hit me at
Go
my
ahead.
Gettysburg address. Yeah, I'll be waiting there for you. Well, Reza Izad, I know from this interview you're gonna get every Tom, Dick, and Hank to hit you up.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
Everyone has an idea. And but no, thank you for coming in and
Thank
dropping
you.
that knowledge, man. That is a world
That is crazy.
that is so huge.
Yep.
And I
It's our
just really
world
wanted
right now.
to and it's not going to stop. It's like and it's going so fast. And what's the next thing, man? What's the next thing?
What I think the next thing is these platforms are just going to increase in scale.
I heard that.
seems to be the next.
All righty, well,
Damn.
we on. We got to figure it out, man. We got to figure
We
it
got
out.
to be the next
We
one.
can do it as a group.
We wake up early. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We get
up
it
before everybody else is.
But we get it going, man. We can start waking up at like 10:30.
Hey,
you know what I'm
no.
saying? What do you mean?
That sounds late.
If you making $10 million
No,
a
that's
year,
true.
That's true, dog.
would you come back and
can wait.
sit there
Definitely
in radio?
not.
You'd be like, man, all
I
right, we're
would
going to go
not.
ahead and get on out of here, man. We got an empire to
sleep till
build.
10.
Thank you guys for hanging
Thank
out
you,
with us,
man.
man. Big Boys
Big
Neighborhood.
boy.